Hello! In today's Archaeoscoop, my top 3 headlines are as follows. Headline number 1 comes from the Brecon Beacons in South Wales, where the snow, which has proved to be rather inconvenient for many people in Britain over the past couple of weeks, is actually proving to be a major convenience for the archaeologists in the area. Essentially, they're using the snow as a high contrast medium to provide a new insight into the landscape of the Brecon Beacons. Flyovers, aerial photography is actually affording wonderful details which are coming forward because of the snow and therefore affording a greater understanding of the landscape and how it's developed over time. So this news story I just thought I'd highlight it because it's a great case study actually for that form of remote sensing and also the use of snow in archaeology actually. Who knew? Snow rather is an archaeologist's tool. So there's not much in the way of writing on this story, but there's plenty of really interesting photographs, so check out headline number 1 for more on that. Headline number 2 is actually coming from Spain, where in a necropolis the remains of a young woman who died around 30 years old have been found. She died approximately 1,600 years ago, and what makes this particular skeleton interesting is the calcified tumour which has been found attached to her hip. And in this calcified tumour were the remains of some deformed teeth. Now, what the archaeologists think this is actually the remains of an ovarian teratoma or cyst, which isn't a terribly nice and rather painful thing. And actually, I haven't actually mentioned this, but this is actually what Mrs. Soup was suffering from towards the beginning of last year. So it's an incredibly painful condition where essentially there was a what is technically a cancerous growth, although it's not as bad a cancer as some others, on one's ovaries. And one of the features of that, one of the more disturbing features, both me and Mrs. Soup found, was that often they can have hair and teeth. And it seems that this woman, who died 1,600 years ago or thereabouts, was suffering from the same condition. Thankfully, Mrs. Soup was able to have surgery. We can only assume that this poor woman died without that convenience and probably in quite a lot of pain. Nonetheless, it's a very interesting skeleton and again well worth reading about, so check out headline number 2 for more on that. Headline number 3 is with regards to a so-called Sri Lankan Moonstone artefact which has possibly, not certainly, but possibly been found in the garden of a bungalow in Devon. It was being used as a step and will be going actually to auction in the very near future because it is someone's private property. The auctioneer hopes to gain up to £30,000 for the artefact. Now, the Director of Archaeology in Sri Lanka isn't entirely clear on whether or not this is actually a genuine artefact, but if it proves to be, he is convinced that this artefact should be sought after by the authorities. Essentially, the government should try to purchase it back to Sri Lanka. Apparently, it was part of a home which the occupants of the bungalow had lived in the 1950s, and they brought it with them to the bungalow. So actually the history of this artefact is also quite interesting, even if it's a fake. It's a curious thing. So for more on that, check out headline number 3. For all of those news stories, and indeed the news stories from the past couple of days I've been able to find, have a look at the links in the underbar below. Plenty there to see, including, right at the bottom, a news story about some of the earliest evidence for weaving, which has yet been discovered, around 2,500 years ago. Or was that BC? Can't quite remember. Anyway, one of those, 2,500 is in there somewhere. And it's actually some really early evidence for weaving in the Turkey sort of area. So check out that as well. Now, today actually, I've had a couple of things rushed up upon me, out of the blue. One of them being, I have to rush off now to a meeting with a place that I used to work actually, called Holy Jesus Hospital in Newcastle. It's what was a medieval hospital, but now it's sort of a museum. Because actually they're under threat of closure. The National Trust are going, oh no, we want to close it down. And also in doing that, they want to close down something called the Inner City Project, which actually affords young people in a very urban and often fairly deprived situation in the northeast the chance to experience the countryside, which is one of the main driving goals and endeavours of Octavia Hill, one of the sort of co-founders of the National Trust, who incidentally actually died 100 years ago last year. So it's quite a timely cut to be making. And the funny thing is, though, and the reason why I'm going to have this meeting with them is I'd love to try and help them raise a bit of awareness about this issue, because the National Trust are saying very publicly that what they're trying to do is encourage everybody to get involved in the countryside and in their properties and this kind of thing. But here is an example of them actually going against that stated goal. Indeed, they report to the government that they are helping people to experience the countryside, but this is very much not doing that. So hopefully I may be able to help them just put together some sort of awareness campaign. And you will probably be hearing a bit more about this and indeed that property in the not too distant future. So I did have a couple of videos planned for this afternoon, but this sudden announcement of an imminent closure must take precedence. So I'm going to go off and have a meeting there. Then I'm helping someone dig a car out of the snow, and then this evening we're entertaining guests. So it's a very busy day for me, as Archaeoscoop tells us. Oh, and Mrs. Soup has quite a bad migraine too. Oh well, never mind. So, but you can expect at the end of the week a great video which is in focus, examining the look of Eden Hall, a 14th century piece of Islamic glassware. A fascinating artefact, not least because it survived, frankly. So, so check that out on Friday. That will be coming your way then. So, yes, as I say, go away, leave me alone, go and read the news stories, have a great day, and until next time guys, bye bye.